If you really want to know what's going on, you need the explanations. And the guy who's going to give us the explanation is, of course, going to be Glenn Beck. Explained why Biden's Build Back Better bill is fascism. It's fascism. Manism. It's fascism. The fascism of universal pre-K. The fascism of 2 years of community college. Okay. Yes. Build Back Better. I need to know. You need to know. Tell us all about it. Why is it fascism?
Okay.
Uh-oh. He's very upset. You can tell when he's emotionally invested in this.
Joe Biden yesterday he had ice cream. They couldn't say what he had on his schedule, but we now know what he had on his schedule.
Well, no, he came out of a meeting about, I think it was the chip manufacturers. He's got a whole schedule online. Let's see. White House press pool Biden schedule. FactBase has all of it, by the way. Day after day after day after day, day after day after day. Hey! Okay, so let's see. Let's go back to, today, let's see. It's the 26th. It's a Wednesday. 10:15, they received the president's daily brief, closed to the press. He met with private sector CEOs 1 o'clock for the Build Back Better agenda that will grow the economy, make the day. Those folks RSVP'd by 8 a.m. for the in-house pool and the pre-credentialed media spray at the top. 2 p.m. press briefing from Jen Psaki. Then 3:30, President signs an executive order to make sexual harassment an offense in the Uniform Code of Military Justice and to strengthen the military's response to domestic violence and the wrongful broadcast or distribution of intimate visual images, meaning you can't use revenge porn. It'll get you court-martialed. Let's see. There had to have been. There's Tuesday. Here you go. When you talk about the full text, President and Vice President receive the President's daily brief. It's interesting how they actually do that now. They actually. Here, why don't I just put it up on screen for you? As a matter of fact, how about that? We'll just look at it now, Glenn. Since you can't. Hold on. Boop. There you go. All right. Put it up there. Come on. It came through. Give it a second. Where are you? There you go. Now it's coming. It'll probably come in all three at once. I'm sorry. This is FactBase. This is a site that lists the president's schedule for the day. Oh, yeah, this is right. Okay, so here you go. This is a constant total of cases and deaths and stats about coronavirus in the world, all through that stuff. Down here, when they don't actually, when he's saying they don't tell you what it's doing, this is Sunday, so they didn't do neither one of these on Friday, Sunday. So here's Mr. Biden, who does nothing. This was Friday. Meets virtually with His Excellency Kishida Fumio, the Prime Minister of Japan, at 8 a.m., Then at 9:30, you got the president's daily brief, a full hour more than earlier than usual. 10:30 in pool call time. That's when the White House press pool comes in. 10, the president delivers marks on his administration's work to supply of semiconductors. That was the chip factory thing, followed by ice cream. Noon, actually, it was the Honey Maid thing yesterday. Press briefing by Jen Psaki. Press briefing on the COVID-19 response team. Left for Capitol Hilton. President addresses the nation's mayors during the U.S. Conference of Mayors, 90th meeting. That was 1:50. 4 o'clock, he departs the White House en route to Camp David. Then he was at Camp David for Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Then on Monday, here you go, had a secure video call with European leaders, which he referenced in the other thing. Got the daily brief. That was 3 to 5 o'clock. And then he met with members of his administration talking about the efforts to lower prices. And then this is what he's talking about when he went for ice cream. And he's like, we don't know what he did before then. They won't tell us. Because you can actually see it in the press pool's thing. President departs the White House for previously unscheduled meeting. They added this meeting. Then at 1:50 arrives at the Honey Maid store in Washington. President departs Honey Maid in Washington on foot. Look for ice cream. They walk next door. He stops at Jenny Splendid. President departs there. That was they do your coming and going. But that same day, he had the President's Daily Brief, and then they had this one, and then the In Cool Time. And this is when they went to Honey Maid to talk about manufacturing in the United States. And he did remarks about that, and that's where the press pool conversation that Maria Bartiromo was referencing happened. And then he had ice cream after. And then they just held up the ice cream. And then, by the way, a shit ton of stuff today. Private sector CEOs, about Build Back Better, yada, yada. So we don't know what he did, except what they listed is what he did and what they filmed him doing.
To stop at an ice cream parlor.
Yeah, he was at Honey Maid before that.
And he got a nice ice cream cone. I don't know what flavor. I don't know who asked him.
It was vanilla and chocolate.
But
thanks for doing all the hard work. I'm glad you're wearing glasses, Glenn.
Today, he's got a big day in front of him. He's going to meet in person with CEOs of 10 major corporations to discuss the potential benefits to business of his Build Back Better Act.
Oh, dear. True fascism. Government, corporations colliding. Or a normal meeting about policy so that you can make sure that the big corporate leaders don't run interference against you, which happens all the fucking time. Hey, Johnny Million, how are you? Happy days. How you doing, buddy? Good to see you. Love you, man.
Now, this is how it's being described. The social safety net bill that passed the House last year but stalled in the Senate. That's not what this is. This is not a social safety net bill.
No, it's not. I mean, socially, why would you need education and support for home health care and child care and elder care? Why would that be considered? Jesus Christ.
The Build Back Better bill is the Great Reset.
No, it isn't. The Great Reset is Nisara Jasara and all that bullshit QAnon nonsense about like everybody's currency going back to zero because everything's gone nuts.
That's the slogan for the Great Reset.
No, it isn't.
According to the White House official who requested anonymity on Tuesday, probably because they don't want anybody to know they're associated with the White House at this point, to preview the event, they were asked to preview it. It's still being finalized. The executives will all be there in person. No one will be attending virtually. That's a change from past CEO events that he has hosted. And here are the people that are expected to be with him today. Mary Barra. She is the chair and chief executive officer of General Motors.
Oh, dear God. Not an American car company. Dun, dun, dun. I wish I had that, but I like, oh, no. Holy hell. Oh, God. Hold on. Play again. Okay.
Mark Beninoff, chair, co-chief executive officer, and founder of Salesforce. He's also on the WEF board of directors. He is the chief salesman.
Well, it makes sense considering the name of his company then, I suppose.
When it comes to the Great Reset.
Is he?
So Sunda Brown.
Well, then why is he not there by himself? Why does he have to sit with a bunch of other CEOs just talking about why is Biden telling him what's what, not the other way around?
Duckett, president, chief officer of TIAA. Jim Farley, the chief executive officer of Ford. Barbara.
Not Ford. That's two American car companies. Shit.
Humpton, president, CEO of Siemens.
Sorry.
Tom Linebarger, he's the CEO of Cummins.
You don't put Siemens and Cummins right next to each other. What's wrong? Siemens and Cummins, quit it. Stop it. They are not sitting next to each other at this thing. Nobody's putting their little name tents right there. Oh, Glenn Beck, you stop it now. Siemens and Cummins. Oh, who's the chairman and CEO of Thankins and Leavin'?
Enrique Lorez, the executive officer of HP. Josh.
Jesus Christ. Why do you have to accent the P in that? If you're going to Siemens and Cummins and HP. I'm sorry. You're conspiracy. The lizard people, please continue.
Silverman, the chief executive officer of Etsy, Brad Smith.
Etsy. Dear God. The giant corporate Etsy overlords.
What a surprise. President.
What a surprise.
And Vice Chairman of Microsoft. Wendell Weeks, Chairman and CEO.
Yeah, Microsoft. Why would they be there? They only make the majority of the software used by every business in the fucking country and most of the world. I don't know. Glenn, why would they be there? Considering I guarantee you're streaming on a PC setup right now. That giant tablet fucking thing that you read off every day is PC based. Those screens behind you are run off of a Microsoft software system. What the fuck? I mean, honestly, like, it's bad enough that, you know, when Don Jr. and the rest of those dickheads scream about Apple and big tech with their fucking AirPods in, but this dickhead's gonna shit on Microsoft. His whole goddamn setup is run on Microsoft software. Siemens and HP and Cummins, quit it.
Of Corning.
You just can't let me drop in on the word Corning. Like, I'm sorry. Jesus Christ.
Microsoft. Wendell Weeks, Chairman and CEO of Corning.
Which, if you haven't tried it, I mean, go easy. As Chris Bono would say, trim your nails.
Are all people that are in and fully supportive of the Build Back Better Act and the Great Reset.
No. Yes, Etsy wants that's the whole purpose behind Etsy. They just want to turn America into one giant Burning Man. That actually might be true. Where was the CEO of Fiverr or Five Below or Target, dum-dum? They're all, yes. Why? And by the way, if Build Back Better is the Great Reset and the Great Reset is Build Back Better, why say it? Why go? They're all supporters of Build Back Better. Eek.
So he is having a PR meeting today, bringing in all the people that are all deeply on board.
Yes, they are balls deep in BBB, especially the people from Siemens and Cummins.
For the Great Reset. And he's going to have a little meeting with them, and then they're all going to go out to the media and say, this is going to help our economy. It's going to help. No, it's going to help our economy.
Are they? They're all going to say that? Did they? Did they all go immediately out? Jesus Christ.
So what is the big thing that's going to help our economy? Well, a reset of capitalism.
That's it. A reset of capitalism. That's what's going to and the flowers are still standing. God, this is honest to God. His Great Reset bullshit is right up there with the Nasara Jassara thing. By the way, have fun unwinding Greece and China's debt, and then we'll see on the other side, because we'll be fine.
That's what's going to help.
And
something called ESG scores.
Yes, which have no material value, except if you want to put your money in stocks that are better for the economy, better or fairer in their practices, better for the environment, shit like that. Then you can look at their ESG scores. If you look at their ESG scores and go, these fuckers are too green to make any money. I'm putting my money in BP's new lava industry. Then knock yourself the fuck out.
Environmental, social justice, and governance scores. And these governance scores are going to help people navigate the very tricky financial waters that we're going into because of climate change.
Yes, and they can either go with them or bet against them. There's zero control. It is all information. And if you don't think that information has value, which Glenn clearly does not, then you won't invest in things with a high ESG score. As a matter of fact, you will look for an ESG score that's low. They're not bad at all, E-Love. It actually makes a lot of sense. But the reason they're doing it is because the market is asking for it. Large investor groups like retirement funds and the like, they want a lot of union people and the like are saying, hey, we don't want our money going into oil and gas. We want it going into renewables and other shit. So, and we want to make sure that the companies are run, fairly and yada yada. And that they don't work with governments that are truly fascistic. That they're not selling secretly in Iran or Russia or China.
Let me give you this.
Sorry. Just this after Siemens and Cumming and Corning, everything he says is a double entendre. I'm in double entendre hell right now.
Federal regulators, today, a news story from Politico, are likely to press banks to prepare for the fallout from a warming planet. So the planet is getting so warm right now that federal regulators are saying, as banks, you better prepare for this. And one of the things you need to do is stop financing fossil fuels.
Is that what they're doing? Is that their argument? Hold on. Sorry, the internet is so fucking slow here. Politico, regulators, banks, climate. Let's see if something comes up. Huh? How about that? Let's see. All right, it's going to take a while. Maybe if I just send it there anyways. All right, hold it. What's the newest one? News. I'll just go straight to news, and it should tell me. Because it would be easy if this asshole sourced his news, like whatever he was saying, if he would just show it on screen. He's got all that friggin' Microsoft-based gear. Why doesn't he toss it up on screen behind him? Huh? Maybe he does. Let's see.
If you think your gas price is high today...
Oh, for fuck's sake. Wait. All right. What gas price? I'm getting an electric car next. Say it with me now. Demand destruction. This will be a great phrase for him to freak out about. Demand destruction. I'm destroying the demand for more oil by buying an electric car. Like a bastard. Let's see. Now the backlash. Acting comptroller currency has put the climate. You're going to have to major. Okay, this is an article that is from a day ago. Acting comptroller of the currency, Michael Sue, has put let's see, climate, and it just says ... Give me a second. It's loading. Here we go. See if I can send that page up here and see if, hey, maybe it comes up faster on this page. Let's see. Oh, I can't wait to see. There we go. Now, the backlash. Do not sell my information. Quit it. Go away. Now the backlash. Consumers, big investors, and much of corporate America have started to align around stakeholder capitalism. The idea that addressing environmental, social, and governance issues such as climate change and diversity can drive profits. But where there's a movement, there's a backlash. West Virginia last week said it would pull out of a BlackRock incorporated investment fund, making it the first state to cut ties with the firm over its ESG policy. West Virginia Treasurer Riley Moore, a Republican, said you can't do business with a company whose investment strategies harm fossil fuel companies. See? Look, you can look at an ESG score and do whatever the fuck you want, Glenn. Even when it's dumbass stuff like West Virginia's doing. These folks aren't policymakers, Moore said in an interview. What if the shape of society that BlackRock wants is not what we want? What West Virginia wants? What other states want? What probably most Americans want? People aren't voting for this at the ballot box. They're using their massive amount of corporate power and capital to coercively push the views of the world on the rest of us. Moore is behind a coalition of 15 red states, including Texas, that want to punish banks and asset managers that treat oil and gas companies differently than other businesses. Gee, I can't imagine why a coal state would want that. The group, which controls about $600 billion in assets, is trying to identify banks engaged in boycotts of traditional energy industries. Greg Abbott, Dan Patrick, asked that BlackRock be added to the list in a letter to the state comptroller Glenn Hager. If Wall Street turns their back on Texas and our thriving oil and gas industry, then Texas will not do business with Wall Street. Time out, BlackRock isn't boycotting. Okay, time out. BlackRock isn't boycotting fossil fuels, nor is the rest of Wall Street. Divesting from entire sectors or simply passing carbon-intensive assets from public markets to private markets will not get the world to net zero, BlackRock CEO Larry Fink wrote in his annual letter to executives earlier this month. Instead, BlackRock and big banks are pressuring corporate clients to reduce their reliance on fossil fuels / greenhouse gas emissions and mitigate climate risk, but there are no promises to cut ties with companies that don't follow through. BlackRock spokesman Aziz Nayani declined to comment. This fight might be more political than prudential. A growing body of research is showing that adopting ESG policies can be good for business, although the jury is still out whether it translates into real benefits for people around the planet. The idea has become more mainstream as executives personally experience, and this is investment funds. And if they don't work, they'll lose money, which is what they're talking about. Meanwhile, in blue state, lawmakers are laying the groundwork for more divestment. A bill in Oregon would require the state treasury to make its holdings public every year so they can be evaluated and possibly sold. Biden's anti-pollution posse. Yeah. What does it all mean? Behind the hype of Biden's financial posse is a fearsome gang of regulators who could make money hard to get. In theory, at least, draconian measures such as barring banks from funding oil and gas companies aren't politically feasible, but even requiring lenders to look at climate change as a potential risk to their health would have ripple effects. I expect it's a pretty big shift. Managing director of climate program at Public Citizen, a progressive advocacy group. You're going to have all the major bank regulators moving forward. Banks warn that steps such as requiring them to hold more capital against loans to heavy polluters could shift business to hedge funds and other less regulated financial firms. Next round, Raskin faces a potentially bruising confirmation battle in the Senate, and Republicans both chambers throwing hurdles. Is she suggesting a thing? Moreover, Joe Biden has failed to win broad climate legislation in Congress, but he has another trick up his sleeve. If all goes as planned, every major U.S. financial regulator soon will be led by progressives joined in an unprecedented mission to draft banks, willing or not, into the war against climate change. Biden this month tapped Sarah Bloom Raskin, who has called fossil fuels a terrible investment, for the Federal Reserve's top regulatory job. Martin Gruenberg, who's part of climate's risk to financial stability, is leading the FDIC, acting comptroller. Okay, blah, blah, blah. And Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen is called climate change a threat to financial stability. Next round, Raskin face a potentially bruising thing. What's next? The PAC will measure progress and disclose towards its goal. The pact is also working towards 3 other targets for 2025, including ensuring at least half of its plastic packaging is recycled or okay. Amazon Inc. threatened to quit trade groups and think tanks that don't see eye to eye with. Okay, that's the other stuff. All right. So this is like the idea that they're going to have to hedge against it if they're in situations where they're going to get oil from other countries because it's going to increase. There's a huge other reason behind this, why the Treasury Secretary and others think that fossil fuels are going to be a pain in the ass in the future, specifically foreign fossil fuel adventurism, because of supply chains and energy, and we don't need it anymore.
Give it a year. You must stand up in your state.
In your car.
You have to call your congressman and your senator. You cannot let the Build Back Better bill or anything like...
Dude, name something in Build Back Better that has any fucking effect on what he's talking about. There's been a shit ton of climate positivity in both the infrastructure bill and in the rescue package last year. Glenn doesn't know that because Glenn doesn't fucking read.
It to pass. You've got to get into regulations because it's everywhere. It's in everybody's company. If you work for a big company, it's in your company.
They're placing people there, like the Chinese Communist Party. You've got minders. You've got climate minders now. Do you think that woman who like yells at everybody in the office about using the recycling bin for, real plastics and stuff and pouring your drink out before you put it in. You think she's just doing that because she gives a shit? She's a government operative.
The way to stop it is through the financial sector. You got to get to the banks and to the credit card companies because they're the ones that are pushing all of this, and they're the ones that are going to affect everything.
Yes, the banks want the Great Reset because all of the money that they were going to make on interest will disappear. And the value of the currency will go back 1-to-1 against all other currencies in the world, which is exactly what banks want. Yeah, sure. Yeah, that makes sense.
All the way down to your auto loan. So the job of the regulators is to ensure safety and soundness of financial institutions and promote financial stability. Now, this actually makes sense. That's Andy Barr. He's the GOP representative from Kentucky. He says their job is not to pick winners and losers in credit markets and politicize the allocation of capital or to solve climate change. Now, Biden has just tapped Sarah Bloom Raskin.
Yeah, again, he's citing the same article we just read. And by the way, if banks in mass are going to be investing in Middle Eastern oil or backing, say, a Russian pipeline in their financing, they're going to have to take on more risk about that because shit's about to get shaky.
She is a warrior against fossil fuels. She's been saying fossil fuels, that is a horrible, horrible investment.
Is that what she said? She said it's a terrible investment once, but horrible, horrible. Let's just say she looked up Bahara when she was, she's the Colonel Kurtz of climate activism.
She's been picked for the top job for the regulations at the Federal Reserve. Mm-hmm. Martin Gruenberg, he's taking over the FDIC, Trump's person, they forced her to resign, and now you've got another climate warrior at the top of FDIC. You also have the comptroller of the currency.
He's just reading this fucking list.
Is now being led on an acting basis by Michael Hsu.
I mean, this is, by the way, in case you want to see where he's getting this, this is, hold on. Martin Gruenberg, head of the climate risk stability, is leading the FDIC. Acting comptroller, currency Michael Hsu has been put in climate issues front and center. He's the acting comptroller. He's just grabbing off of this Politico article.
Who has put climate issues front and center. You have Security and Exchange Committee's chair.
By the way, little side reminder that as Glenn reads this, what he's telling you is that you should believe everything Politico writes. And all of that shit he told you about not believing what Politico writes is all, forget that now.
Gensler, he is enacting sweeping rules that will require banks and other public companies to disclose their contributions to climate change and environmental risks. A huge, massive shift.
Their contributions to climate change and environmental risks.
Faster than anyone could imagine is coming. Now, let me give you what's happening overseas with our own Treasury Secretary.
All right. But let's go international, Glenn. Something I know nothing about. Sorry, 1 second. Something, God damn it. Where's the mouse? There it is. Something I know nothing about. All right, there you go.
So Janet Yellen met for the WEF Davos Agenda annual meeting.
Which stands for whatever the fuck.
Ended. And there was a conversation with Janet Yellen, Secretary of the Treasury, with Klaus Schwab actually hosting. And after telling Schwab that
a little dry mouth from the CBD there,
the old supply side model for lower taxes and reduced regulations just doesn't work. And Biden's new Build Back Better is just so much more promising. She said, importantly, the Biden administration, their economic strategy embraces rather than rejects something kind of important. Here she is. Listen.
Importantly, the Biden administration's economic strategy embraces rather than rejects collaboration with the private sector through a combination of improved market-based incentives and direct spending based on empirically proven strategies.
Oh, dear God. Communism of the worst kind. The kind that involves massive amounts of normalized capitalism. What?
So what she's saying here is the Biden administration, through the Treasury and through the Federal Reserve, are going to now partner with businesses. Do you want your government
Is that what they're doing?
partnering with all of the biggest businesses? Exactly what's happening in the White House today.
Well, no, that's a generalized meeting. These kind of meetings happen all the fucking time. Does anybody remember Glenn Beck panicking when Trump would have CEOs together? Dear God, he's meeting with the head of Walgreens and CVS about injecting Americans with some sort of goo that he made in his own garage using a CRISPR-Cas9 setup.
Do you want that? Because that is fascism. I just want...
No, it isn't. That would be the control of corporations by the government. It'd be the thing that having them over for a meeting and going, guys, I'm going to try this policy, and I don't think it'll harm things, and I don't want you guys to get nervous about it, and I think it'll be better for you in the long run as far as an educated workforce and that kind of stuff, and you can help sell it to people if you believe in it. If you don't, then I guess it's fucked. Bye, Etsy. By the way, don't wear so much patchouli next time. God damn.
You know, that is the technical definition of fascism.
Oops. Oh, shit. Hold on. Fascism. Fascism is a form of far-right authoritarian ultra-nationalism characterized by dictatorial power, forcible suppression of opposition, and strong regimentation of society and the economy that rose to prominence in the early 20th century. The first fascist movements emerged in Italy during World War I before spreading to other European countries, opposed to anarchism, democracy, liberalism, and Marxism. Fascism is placed on the far right wing within the traditional left-right spectrum. Fascists believe that liberal democracy is obsolete. That's why they run as Democrats. They regard the complete mobilization of society under a totalitarian one-party state as necessary to prepare a nation for armed conflict and respond effectively to economic difficulties. A fascist state is led by a strong leader, such as a dictator, and a market. Well, I guess they think Biden's so doughy, I don't know why they're worried. And a martial law government composed of the members of the governing fascist party rejects assertions that violence is automatically negative in nature and views imperialism, political violence, and war as a means that can achieve national rejuvenation. You on board with that, Etsy? I had no idea. The extreme authoritarianism, nationalism, fascism often manifests a belief in racial purity or a master race, usually synthesized with some variant of racism or bigotry of a demonized other. The idea of racial purity has motivated fascist regimes to commit massacres, forced sterilizations, genocides, mass killings, or forced deportations against a perceived other. That's all in Build Back Better. We're just secretly educating poor whites and blacks and Hispanics and Asians and indigenous people and tribes equally as part of a giant ruse. Let's see. Position fascist is a pejorative. That's all right. That's pretty clear. Mussolini, Catholic Church. Ouch. Aggressive foreign policy. Hitler adopts the Italian model. Totalitarianism, the economy. Let's see. Okay. Nationalism without. Let's go to the economic. Okay. Let's see. Economy. Fascism represents itself as an alternative to both international socialism and free market capitalism. While fascism opposed mainstream socialism, fascists sometimes regard their movement as a type of nationalist socialism. You don't say. To highlight their commitment to nationalism, describing it as a national solidarity and unity, fascist governments advocate their resolution with class. Okay, whatever. You get the point. It's Build Back Better is free universal pre-K. It's adding one optional year and two other optional years at the tail end of high school if you want it. You'll fascistically be given another option. It's a new wave of optional fascism. It's really the worst kind.
Do you want the United States government to, through, what did she just say, through market-based incentives and direct spending? So in other words, the government will put direct spending, your tax dollars, into these companies for proven strategies.
What, you mean like the NIH does or the CDC does, or like when we build a road where the government says, the road's right there. We'll use market-based strategies to decide where the road wants to go. See these people over here? Yeah, they want to go there. But they can't go there because there's not a road in between. So we're going to use these market-based strategies to decide where the road goes. Should go right here. And then we're going to use financial incentives, namely loan guarantees to the state or direct payments for the highway system to pay for said roads. It's a terrifying prospect, I know.
And they will have market-based incentives. In other words, ESG scores. Get out of that.
Yeah, it's an incentive. It doesn't mean it'll work.
Business, and you can have your business. Otherwise, you'll be destroyed.
Oh, I see. That's not so much an incentive as a carrot and a bazooka.
That is fascism. That is not the free market.
Well, but a bunch of people who just decided not to freely, they decided to put their money elsewhere, and they're pushing back against it within the, no? All right.
Now, she goes on to say, we just have a different focus. Listen to this.
Essentially, we aren't just focused on achieving a high top-line growth number that is unsustainable.
Oh, I see. That's the problem you have? We should have an unsustainable one. Look, we should make as much money until we burn the earth to a cinder.
We're instead aiming for growth that is inclusive and green. The economic moment is well suited to accommodate such a modern supply-side expansion.
So we are not focused on...
Oh, and by the way, a supply-side expansion, not a demand expansion, which means making companies do this.
High top-line economic growth. Well, that's pretty obvious. A year ago, our growth was 30% with everything shut down. Our GDP was 30%. Our GDP today is what, 3.5%? So they're...
Well, that's because cost going out the door was down. Because nobody was going anywhere, fucko. The planes were idled.
Clearly not interested in any kind of top-line economic growth.
Yes, Glenn wants to return to the sweet old days of total lockdown. For its economic growth picture.
They're only interested in growth that is sustainable, green, and inclusive.
Dear God, no. What? Are you saying that a country that's not racially a racially singular country, while they might try to not be inclusive and make sure that, say, other people can't be citizens, that America, with all these different people in it, would want every American allowed in? Like it's fucking, what's the word? America?
ESG. So they want to make sure that we spread the wealth around. And the best way to do that is to pick winners and losers.
Oh. I think I know why Glenn's upset. Because he knows which side he's going to be picked on. Basically, Glenn feels like he's standing in middle school on the recess field, and they're choosing kickball teams, and the number's getting smaller, smaller, smaller.
Then Klaus Schwab had something to say. He is the head of the World Economic Forum. He is the guy who's really spearheading the Great Reset. Here's what he just said. Remember, this conference ended 2 days ago. Here's what he said.
It was fascinating, certainly for our participants, to hear from you how the different aspects of your economic approach of the Biden administration approach is integrated into an overall concept of the modern supply side economics. And I think, just in a nutshell, that's probably the pathway which we have to choose in the context of today, and to create a modern economy which is not just successful in creating prosperity, but creating inclusive prosperity, also sustainable and also resilient prosperity.
Oh, dear God. Not sustainable and resilient prosperity. What? Look, when Glenn Beck goes into the pantry to get a bag of chips, he does not come out until all the food is eaten and he's dragged out by his feet. This is the intellect.
Yes, says Janet Yellen. So we're not looking for, we have to choose.
No, he said we're not just looking. Fucking, look, don't make me go through this asshole's phraseology again.
To hear from you how the different aspects of your economic approach of the Biden administration approach is integrated into an overall concept of the modern supply side economics.
Right.
And I think, just in a nutshell, that's probably the pathway which we have to choose in the context of today.
Yes, supply side economics is the path we have to choose. This way, yes, you mean capitalism the way we've been doing it, but regulated capitalism, so it's not the Wild West, which we've had for a long time. Basically, the normal American model. And then what? So we just what?
And to create a modern economy which is not just successful in creating prosperity.
Not just successful in creating prosperity.
But creating inclusive
Not just creating prosperity, but inclusive prosperity. Like, it's not just prosperity. It's not just prosperous, but it's also prosperous that involves a lot of other people and is sustainable and resilient. What the fuck is there? What's wrong with what he is saying? Please find, where is Alex Jones when you need him?
So prosperity, also sustainable and also resilient.
And by the way, I cannot look at this dude without thinking of Carl Reiner's character in Dead Men Don't Wear Plaid. I'm sorry. I'm a butler, not a catcher. Could I be your Heinemackerfrau? Yeah, you could be that. You could be my Heinemackerfrau. What is that? What is that? Tell him what it means, my Heinemackerfrau. Ah, yes, Heinemackerfrau. It means you could be my cleaning woman. Cleaning woman! Good work, Juliet.
Prosperity.
Yes, says Janet Yellen. So we're not looking for, we have to choose. Are we gonna have a system that creates prosperity?
Bullshit. Fuck you. God damn it. Did we just watched Glenn. I hate this. It happens every fucking time. How many times is he's straight up bonginoing right now? Dude, if you're gonna lie like this, don't show the fucking clip. Don't do it. We just watched it. He said supply side economics is the system we're gonna have to choose in this current moment. And the plan is to have not just a strong, prosperous economy, but a resilient one as well, and an inclusive one. He's not saying we have to choose between prosperity and this inclusive bullshit. God damn.
Or
Lazy.
Inclusive prosperity and sustainable.
And he's lying to your face right now. Glenn, you're a fucking liar. I'm calling you out. It has to be done. You just played the clip. We all heard it. Glenn, Stu, reach over and poke him. Glenn, you're a fucking liar. You're fucking lying. We just watched the clip. He said the supply side part was the choice, and the goal is not just a prosperous economy, but a prosperous and resilient and sustainable and inclusive one. Not just prosperous, but prosperous and the choice part was oh, for fuck's sake.
Green prosperity.
Dude, you dick.
That's what we have to choose. They're not choosing. They are going to continue to eat their caviar and ski the ski slopes.
Is that how they live? It sounds fucking sweet. Bond villains to the one. I'm going after this to have some caviar while I'm skiing. My brother said it was a wonderful thing. He died choking on a tiny spoon. You are going to feel the impact. Yeah, you are going to feel the impact. It's a positive impact. If you've never been skiing and had caviar before, this might be your shot finally. Don't worry, the elites are here. The elites have a plan for you. What a douchebag. Just to lie that lazily.